Hello and welcome to the Ask Colin and Jane show. I am so honoured and excited to talk to Niamh. She has been a huge inspiration from the day I heard her speak. I go back to maybe a year and a half ago now. I went to an event and Niamh was a guest speaker at it, and she was just mind-blowing from your story, from growing the Irish Fairy Door Company, but even previous to that, I suppose the journey she's been on. Niamh is very open to talk about your journey, but also the struggles of anxiety on a day-to-day basis and actually owning it. And I think that's going to be a huge element to what we're going to be talking about today, because I think today we're hearing this word, we're listening about it, it's all over the radio, the TV, but it's actually owning it and addressing it and talking about it is something that we're still lacking on. So Niamh's energy and inspiration for me has been a huge influence. I've dragged her along to our classes, so she's just after finishing a class. She told me to make sure that was well announced. So thanks very much for coming in this morning. I suppose, Niamh, I'll let you tell a bit about your story first.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, Jane, your story is so important. Everyone has one, from when they're born up to when they're an adult, you know. And for us, I suppose, we would have been Celtic Tiger Cubs. We lived the dream, you know, back in the early 2000s. And we bought a huge house up in Monaster Boys, and we were literally driving the Beamers, the whole lot. Obviously, the crash happened. My husband was in mortgages at the time. And we were probably front line, so it hit us maybe a little bit earlier than it did other people. And it was, without being in any way dramatic, it was catastrophic for us. It was a very, very, very quick downhill slope that we were on. Like the bank stopped lending money, so Oisin's business just essentially froze. So there was no business. And we were earning, I always say that we were earning 10% of what we were earning in 2008 than what we were earning in 2007.
Oh my God,
10%. Yeah.
Wow.
Only for friends and family. It was literally putting food in the fridge. That's my mum and dad used to come up and do our shopping for us. It was that bad. It really was. And we had savings. We sold everything we could, but it still was awful. And it lasted a long time. It was from 2008. Probably until about 2013, 2014, obviously when the fairies arrived.
Yes, and I remember you talking about that day that you were saying, like, everything nearly apart from your wedding rings, you had to sell
engagement ring,
engagement ring, and that's huge. Like, that's a really low place to be. And what's really inspiring about you is you didn't stay in that low place, and that's what really inspired me, was that, like, when you're having them days of being in the lowest of lowest place, What do them fairies do, Niamh?
Yeah, I know. It's I'm a really big believer in fate and the stars aligning and things happening for a reason. I really do believe that. First, it wasn't days that we were down; it was years.
Right.
And the most important thing to us were our children, and shielding them from what was happening and trying to create an atmosphere in our home that wasn't this, oh my God, what are we going to do 24 hours a day? So all of our energy was, we had two very, very young kids at the time, was just protecting them and making their home happy. And we did, and I'm very proud of that, actually, very proud of that if you were to speak to my son or my daughter, they wouldn't have a clue that all that happened. And to me, that's success, because they were and still are the most important thing. But
definitely.
The engagement ring was the only thing I held on to, and Oisin has a watch. That was it. Anything else of value was sold.
I suppose even looking back in today, I don't think people realise how bad it actually was back then.
Yeah, I think
it was bad.
Particularly for self-employed people. And I'm not dissing the private sector at all, but really, the PAYE sector. I think for people that ran their own business, we weren't, people, say you lost a job, you could go get social welfare, exist.
Yeah.
There was none of that for us.
Everything was, it was depression. It was everything, you had people that maybe was one that worked in the industry for 20 years, was now standing in Dole lanes.
Oh, listen,
And
the 60-year-old, like 60-year-old men that worked in the same factory for 40 years, and they've nothing to show for it.
And now they're standing in a Dole queue, and you know yourself how long they wore, and you were standing there and you could see people looking into the ground because they didn't want to be recognised and acknowledged.
Absolutely.
I don't think they realise
it was a dark
every
time.
time you turn on the radio, remember Jerry Wright, Lord of Mercy, it used to be people throwing the keys of their house back in the letterbox, parents actually buying 2 litres of milk and watering it down to make it stretch into 3 litres. Like I don't think people realise.
No, I think it was all relative to your own situation, but it was bad.
It was bad. Right. It was bad. But
and I think the fairies coming was, you know, it was. I always describe it, and the fairies arrived in our lives, you know, and it was a light. You know, it was a light. Do you know what it was? More than anything, it was hope.
Okay.
And hope is the strongest emotion.
Yeah.
I just can't explain what it did for us. We didn't have any more money for the first 2 years than we did through the recession with the Ferry Door Company, the Irish Ferry Door Company, but it was the hope that we had, and that we could stay in the country, we didn't have to emigrate, that my children could still see their grandparents. It was absolutely magical. It was like...
And I suppose having that hope, whether it's Ferry Door Company, whether it's a gym, whether it's no matter what it is, hope and faith goes back a long way. And I think once you have that belief system, no matter what you challenge or what what comes in your life, if you have that faith and hope, it can get you a long way. And I suppose it's through your belief systems. Like it's like me trying to sell something I'm not believing in, a type of fitness that I don't believe in. It'd be very hard to sell or to grow a business in, but when you genuinely have faith in it, it can help you along your journey.
Oh, there's no question. And it's also contagious, you know, so other people feed off that, you know, that kind of way. So anything, like I truly believe that what we have created will stay in a child's memory forever. And it's such a privilege to think that we have done that, you know, and that drove us and still does all along.
But I think that's a huge one, and that's the same with us. I always say, you know, that feeling of teaching a class and making someone feel better than they did whenever they come in, there's no money in the world that will ever give me that feeling. And I think a lot of people, and especially in today's society, that everything's fast paced. Like, I mean, no matter what you want, you can get delivery the next day, you can get, like, everything's instant.
There's no waiting.
There's no waiting around for it. So people think now that, you know, when I get X amount of money in my bank account, when I get the, you know, certain things, I'll have so much fulfillment. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed more.
I think it's the whole concept, and a lot of, you know, I'd be very into depending on the mood now, I'm going to be honest with you, but I always like to kind of think that, you know, there are other people that have it worse than me. Now, not to say that you want to wish it on other people, but there's some sort of freedom in that as well. It's like, okay, well, listen, you know, it's only 4 walls. We're okay. Our kids are okay. It's 4 walls. So that really helped me. I literally used to say, every time I drove into the driveway, I used to say to myself, it's 4 walls. It's just bricks. That's all it is. That's all it is.
It's,
you
a
know,
great way to
it's how, I suppose, that's how I got through it at the time.
Right.
But then it does have, it will stay with me forever at that time.
But you would have worked very hard. You know, no business grows overnight, and there would have been a lot of hard work and commitment, and, you know, but having that fulfillment, decisions making is a big one. But
our
having that faith was...
and it was absolutely unconditional. We knew that we had something. And even before the first Ferry Door was sold, we were like, there's something, obviously, because my children were my guinea pigs. And they just, the magic just literally exploded.
Just a
genuine, the little light in their eyes when they see the key gone in the morning and the fairies collected it. Like, it still makes me emotional, do you know, that kind of way. And I was like, and I really do believe that if you want anything to succeed, you have to make emotional connection with it.
100%.
You know, and when there's...
Exact same in our business.
Of course it is. But when you see a child just experience this magic and see their imagination ignite, it is the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
But it is hard work. There's absolutely no question that it was hard work. You know, it was, and it still is.
Yeah.
It still is.
Most things is worth getting takes time and work ethic.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you know what I mean, in being patient, as I would say.
Yeah.
Even if you wanted a baby in the morning, you still have to wait 9 months.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Those sort of things.
Yeah.
But I suppose myself and Jane would generally kind of, you'd hear us say, look at life. People think that life is in a straight line. It should be from A to B, and there you should go. We would always say, you know, life's like a heart rate monitor, goes up and down. And I think you're a fine example of one that went up, as you say, in the Celtic Tiger, and came back down again. And I suppose you kicked off the ferry door and you started getting light, and then we talk about anxiety and stuff. So it's up and down, like, you know. So you've quite an experience, quite a different
I think that's
things.
the kind of the legacy of what happened to us is the anxiety. I would suffer like on and off. Sometimes I have a good stretch of not experiencing any anxiety, and then I would have a few months of it being really quite bad. And it is a legacy of what happened to us. There's no question.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of post-traumatic stress, you know.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think that people underestimate. I mean, when you say a straight line, no one's life is in a straight line. No one. And I think that people will do a disservice to themselves and other people to put that to portray that, because it's not true. It's just not.
Well, I think knowing that, like, and even the more I talk to you and even the more I listen to you, it's like, I think we feel like we're the only people that has that up and down and up and down. And like, if I didn't know you, I'd be saying, oh look, you know, she's a really stressed bitch. She'd never understand anxiety. And when people come into the gym to me, unless I tell my story of my weight loss journey, they're putting me in a pedestal that loves eating chicken and broccoli and exercising. Like, that's people put other people on pedestals and think I'm the only one dealing with this. And anxiety, I think it's getting better. I think we're in between two stools of, we know it's there, we've recognised it, but talking about it, we're getting better as a society.
We are, and I think for me, I didn't know I had it for a long time. I just was living in this heightened mode. 24/7 a day, so 24/7, 365 days of the year, and what happened was someone explained it to me, and it really made sense. It's kind of like right, your mental health is like, if you can imagine a rectangle, right, and within the rectangle you go up and down. So you would have like good days, bad days. But you wouldn't necessarily have any mental health issues. When you go out of the rectangle and you're above the rectangle, that is basically anxiety. And you are literally existing on top of this rectangle that you're supposed to, not supposed to, but that is healthier mental health is in that.
Yeah,
now,
so it's basically like the boundaries of where you can kind of...
Absolutely. But if you stay above too long, it will just plummet right the way through the rectangle and it will flatline, and that's depression. The difference between anxiety and depression is quite huge, but at the same time, one leads to the other.
Definitely. Yeah.
And sometimes they're parallel to one another. For me, it is, and when the person that was explaining this to me kind of talked, well, this is what is happening with you. I was like, oh my God, that's it.
Now you can actually say that, I understand it. Yeah. And I think that's something that people are missing.
It was very powerful. It was very powerful, because I always thought anxiety, well, I'm not really worried about anything. I mean, you know, like, I'm not anxious.
We never really are, no matter who you ask. I'm on your mind, no, not really.
But like, I mean, of course you're worried about things.
Right? Yeah, like in general,
anxious. The word anxious and the word anxiety, there's a disconnect there for a lot of people.
Definitely.
People don't see sometimes that one kind of, you don't need to be anxious, feel anxious to have anxiety.
Yeah, that's actually right. And I think that visual there, even for me thinking about it there, it's brilliant, because, and it is a matter of how long do you stay up there in that anxious state, and finding coping mechanisms to get back down, maybe into that up down, you know, mental health state that is controllable. And I think a bit of that is going, okay, this is something, it might be part of me, but a big element is, and this is something that I talk to people all the time about that come in for exercise, because as you know, exercise does help with all this stuff. But knowing that, like, you can't, like, sitting and comforting it and making it hold you back, compared to actually going, you know what, I'm going to recognize it, and I'm going to actually challenge it. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I think I would possibly explain it slightly different for me anyway, is that it is part of me. It's part of who I am. It's probably going to be part of who I am for the rest of my days. And I think making that decision is a huge step for me. Okay. What I do think, like for the likes of exercise, I do reflexology. I've done 4 or 5 different things. Yeah. And for me, it's me going, right, okay, anxiety is part of me, but I am actually going to help my anxiety. I'm actually going to, right, it's part of me, but I'm actually going to help to actually just calm myself down. Yeah. And the way I do that is by, only in the last couple of weeks, the exercise is like, I mean, it's made a huge difference to me in the last week and a half even. Really? You know, and there's lots of other things that I'm doing, but I'm helping. It's like I'm nearly helping my anxiety to just go down again. So rather than challenging it, because challenging it for me kind of sounds like it's like, well, I'm ready, and it's kind of, it's then the adrenaline, and then it gets fuzzy.
So what we're kind of looking at here is we're looking at a few different things. We're looking at patience, right? But we're also looking at self-awareness. Yeah. So you identify that it's there, it's part of you. Yeah. It's generally a part of most people. It's just about acknowledging that it's there and finding out what the triggers and emotions are that maybe sparking it up and down the way. Yeah. So it is literally about going into your self-awareness, and as you say, trying different things.
Yeah, I think what works for you. Yeah. Anxiety makes you very tired. Yeah. Like it makes you really, really tired all the time. So the idea of going, I have to challenge this, you're like, oh God,
I'm exhausted already.
I'm too tired already. But if you kind of say to yourself, right, well, what can I do to help? Yes. You know, my anxiety to just kind of slow down and just come down a bit. Then it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm comforting myself, but I still need to go and do X, Y, and Z that I may not really want to do. Yeah. But then I'm going to do that because that is actually going to help me. So that's coming here and being part of like even as I said, twice a week. You know, it's quite empowering. Yeah. It's empowering rather than anything else.
But I suppose it's making that change, and like I was only speaking to you about this recently, about that feeling of, you know what, this mightn't be the most exciting thing for me, and although I always say to you, do you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that? I'm constantly saying that to you. Enjoyment could be a bit strong for you at the minute, where I would find that enjoyable. But it's about going, right, well, I'm here. I'm doing this for me, and this is going to make me, slow down a bit, and that's the important thing. So you shifting that mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing a plank there, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah, but you're doing it. You are so much stronger than what you think you are. Yeah. Do you know? And it kept me up for the extra 10 seconds, and I stood up. Now, obviously, it's going to hurt tomorrow. Yeah. But I stood up and I was like, right, okay. It's like a huge difference. Was when I came in from consultation. I used to come to me time, and I absolutely detested every single second of it. And anyone that talked to me, I'd be like, don't talk to me, I hate this. And it was when you said to me, Jane, well, why don't you challenge that? Do you know what I mean? Why don't you challenge that and say, okay, and talk to yourself in the third person, which I think is a really, really good idea.
So powerful.
Because as you said, you never talk to yourself the way you talk to somebody else. Do you know the kind of way you're really mean to yourself?
Anybody else the way you talk to yourself.
Yeah. You can be quite mean to yourself. Yeah. I literally am cheering myself around the last 3 sessions, and it's made a huge difference. Yeah. Can't get over it.
Yeah, that alone is just like it's so powerful. Like when you think about the stuff you say to yourself, like there's nothing like. There's nobody like if you can think of the person you hate the most, and hate's a very strong word, but you would never even speak to them the way you'd speak to yourself, and yet you're supposed to be the most important person. And I think if that alone can be like, that can be changed a bit, make a big difference. Totally. But so it's changing the way you talk, and exactly what Colin said, self-awareness is huge. And I think that like understanding that, as well as that, knowing that anxiety is a feeling. Yeah. Like it is really a feeling. So going, okay, that's here. Yeah. That feeling's here. What can I do to actually go, right, what's causing that there? Myself, what's making it be like that? And then what can I do to help that, to make it easier for myself? Yeah. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose we were chatting, I suppose, after the consultation and everything else, something I found that was super interesting was you talked about the cloud that was over your head. Explain a little bit more around that when you talked.
it's kind of like there's no room for anything else. And that's what has stopped me from going to the gym, back to the gym, because I knew, like, I'm not stupid. I know that exercise helps.
Yeah.
I know it does. But it was like I didn't have any more room for anything else. It was my children, my husband, and my business. And that was it. There was no room for anything else or anybody else.
Yes.
So having to come here, even sitting down and doing the consultation, I was like, do you know, that kind of way? Because I just did not have enough space in my brain.
Yeah.
And what exercise definitely does is that it frees
that up. So the cloud, it kind of just opens up that cloud in a way, because it's just fog whenever you're in that state of mind.
Absolutely, but I think it's very important to say as well, I'm not a gym bunny. Do you know that kind of way? I'm not somebody that it comes 5 days a week. Yeah. I do I'm going to do 2 exercises a week. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's important to kind of, you know, because people think, oh, well, I mean, she's going to be going there every day. Yeah. Like, I don't have time for that. I'm not.
Look, I suppose in what you're saying, and kind of like, you know, it frees you up, you know, it's good for you and everything else, but it's kind of like everything in life, like, you know, when you do it, you're like, the emotions is, well, does this work for me? Do I like it? Do I not like it? And then maybe you kind of get some bit of hint of kind of a result or something, and then you're like, oh, I'm getting a bit of momentum here, I can kind of see the brighter side of that, and then you kind of grow and build on it. It's the same as kind of everything. I remember I would have started walking in nature kind of as a form of meditation, and then some days you're like, the hell am I doing? Like, you know what I mean? I could be in the gym doing a workout to get something more from it. And then after like 12 times, 13 times, 14 times, I'm like, Jesus, I can't do without this now. And you start building this momentum. And just like that, you don't always want to go.
No.
But sometimes you know that it is the answer to what you kind of need to do. But
I suppose it is just identifying, and the more self-awareness you build, I think the better it becomes, and actually knowing that you're not the only person that's gone through that. I think that's a powerful message to say. Like, some people often feel like, this is how I am, I've got anxiety and it's going to hold me back. And what I love about you, you've actually flipped it completely round, and you went, I have anxiety, I'm going to bloody own it, and nobody's going to bloody hold me back from anything I'm going to do. And I think that's a powerful message to change that.
I don't see it as the enemy. I don't see it as a bad thing. I know that sounds a bit strange, but I you know, life, this is what life has given to me. I mean, what we've been through. And, you know, who knows what's in the future. But realistically, it's part of me. I'm okay with that. But I'm going to help it, and I'm going to do everything I can to help it. Not just with exercise, but lots of different things. Do you know? But I do own it. It's part of me. And I think that's kind of, making peace with that is a huge part for me.
And I think it...
Cool. So then I suppose just to wrap it all up, I goes, what's one bit of advice, just putting you on the spot here, just one bit of advice just going forward for anyone that's may listen?
If you're feeling that you are in a constant fight or flight mode, like, and people do live years like that, you do not have to live like that.
No.
There are ways, and there are things that you can do. Lots of things that you can do, and you may not even know you're suffering from anxiety, but if you're living outside that triangle constantly, if you can just imagine that triangle, if you're living up above that, it's unnecessary to stay there. You don't have to be there. You can do stuff, and there are lots of things that you can do. And
it's just about trying one thing and seeing
exactly one thing at a time.
Just bringing yourself out of your comfort zone. I remember Jane would have talked about maybe going to a coffee shop on your own and just having a cup of coffee.
Oh, that would stress the life out of me, like, to go and sit, and even years ago he used to be saying, oh, I went out for my dinner, and I'd be like, who did you go with? And he'd be like, nobody. And I was like, so you were in a restaurant on your own eating dinner, and I couldn't get this.
I'd love that.
You see, that would stress, like, even you see. So for me, like, I used to actually, and that's, I suppose it's good that we say that, like, it's about doing these things and going, oh shit, that was grand. I didn't mind that, and I actually got to sit with my own thoughts for a couple of minutes. Do you know what I mean? And that's something I avoided all the time, because that scary place, and that's why this is called me time, is because that being on my own scared the life out of me for years.
Do you know
so
what?
it's trying new
We're
things.
all in this together. Do you know what I mean? We're all in this together. And, you know, whenever I see people walking down the road, you know, if they're power walking and they have this look on their face, and I always think to myself, fair play to you. Not fair play to you for walking, but that you are out there. You know, I can tell by the look on the person's face, they're having a tough time. Do you know that kind of way? But we're all in this together. We're all in this together. And I think talking about it more. Talk to someone that you love and say, oh, do you know what, I just don't feel right. Do you know?
I think that's really
the first
powerful.
step.
Thanks very much. I think there's a lot of value in that. Like every time I talk to you, I get more inspiration. Thanks very much, folks, and thanks very much, Niamh, for your time.
Lads.